Greg Biffle, Jeremy Mayfield. Oh, who's that? Tony Stewart. This into the side of Greg Biffle's car.
Getting caught up in somebody else's mess.
Man, oh man.
Stewart trying to get away.
Hello, Biffle. And body damage that 16 car. Oh, I see. This is the payback for me. Gordon screwed out with Robbie Gordon.
That's exactly what it is. And like I said, unfortunately, you get guys that have nothing to do with that, running for the championship, cost them.
Yep. Remember earlier we saw the 31 car being spun by the 16, and this time that's the payback.
They see if there's a call on this one.
Robbie Gordon had one of the most aggressive personalities in the garage area back in his time in NASCAR, especially when he had a top-tier equipment. When he drove for RCR, he had many run-ins with other drivers, but none will be as iconic as the 2004 race at New Hampshire. Robbie Gordon would get spun out early by Greg Biffle, but he was able to keep his car straight with limited damage. Gordon would then retaliate against Biffle later on in the race, collecting 2 chase drivers. This was the very first race in the NASCAR new Chase the Cup system, so this was a big controversial moment. But thankfully, NASCAR dropped the hammer down on Robbie Gordon and black flagged him for 2 laps, holding him on pit road where he could not go to make sure he was penalized and understood what he did was extremely wrong.
Robbie Gordon, we showed you the replays earlier for his involvement in this incident that got Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Stewart, 2 of the championship chasers, in trouble.
Well, this is just a payback. And we talked about, we thought that was the situation last week at Richmond with Jimmy Spencer and Casey Mears, and they were going to park Spencer for a couple laps and then looked at the tapes and said no. But this is pretty obvious that this was a payback, and this is what needs to be done, and I commend NASCAR for it.
This time they looked at the tapes and said, we're going to penalize Robbie Gordon 2 laps for rough driving.
What's that? The hell for what? What was happening for the leaders, man?
You don't think I was racing for my own position?
I didn't say you were. I said.
Just watch what you say, man.
I said thanks for the help.
No, you said it as a Sparta. Oh, I
You took it that way.
It's rare that you ever see a team owner in NASCAR get involved with another driver on the racetrack. But when the team owner's Jeff Gordon, it doesn't surprise me. Jeff Gordon was extremely upset at Ryan Newman after the 2017 playoff race at Dover, after he held up race leader Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch was able to get around him with 2 laps to go and pick up the victory. This would have been Elliott's first ever career win in the NASCAR Cup Series, but he wasn't able to pull it off because Ryan Newman blocked him with just a few laps to go.
Andy, I like your theory that the fire was actually under the hood of the 23 car. Whoa, look out.
Uh-oh, there goes the car. Look out.
Is there somebody in that car?
I don't think so.
No.
The car just took off by itself.
It wasn't put in gear.
Okay.
And when they unhooked it, moved it around.
No harm.
Yeah.
And let's get out of the way. She's backing up by itself.
Yeah, did a nice job there doing a 3-point turn to get turned around. And nobody behind the wheel.
Kyle Busch is supposed to be the first across the start-finish line, but there are 2 lines in this zone, and let's go back and go through this, Andy. Take us through.
Okay, Marty, this is the restart zone. It starts right here. This is a double line on the wall, and it starts right there. That's where you can go. Now, if you don't go in this zone, now this is where you have to go, this line here. If you don't go in between those 2 lines, the starter, the flagman, is going to go ahead and throw the green flag, and the race is going to start. Kyle Busch did not go between those 2 lines, and that's what caused this pileup. This is a case where, if Brad Keselowski beats him to the line and he gets the lead going in turn 1, they can black flag the 22.
Now, let's listen to what Kyle said about it on the radio.
So what happens when the number 1 starter beats the number 2 starter to the line? Vice versa. Number 2 beats number 1.
It's going to be one of those deals where they're going to say, well, if he gives it back to you,
They make a big deal out of it every driver's meeting, so I thought it was a black flag, but because caution came out, they're going to let it slide.
After all the controversy was settled out and Brad Keselowski was able to retain the lead on the restart, Kyle Busch was furious. He knew that he had to make a statement, and that's what he did. On the very next restart, Kyle Busch would intentionally jump the restart to get ahead of Brad Keselowski, even though Keselowski was the leader. When NASCAR saw this, they were extremely upset at Kyle Busch and immediately black flagged him.
Yeah, they are going to post the 18 car, and they're going to put his name, his number up on the board and put the black flag on.
They're posting. That's right here.
All right, let's listen in, see what happens on the radio. All right, Kyle tucks back in, lets him go around.
Okay, the rule is if he does that immediately, then he won't get the black flag. I'm not sure how they'll view that as far as giving that spot back.
Well, you heard Jason say, just bring it. So the 18 has got to do a pass through. Now he has led 124 laps here. Here he comes. Driver leading the most laps has won 9 of the last 10. And listen to the crowd.
Pass through.
Now, you think you've seen Kyle Busch mad after a race before? Wait till he gets out of the car after this one. This cat is flat going to be mad.
Yeah, he arguably had the best car in the car to beat tonight.
Even after NASCAR tried to black flag the 18 and send him to the back of the field, he had a car that was so strong it was able to rally back up towards the front. Out of 5 laps to go, he was able to make the pass on Brad Keselowski, and he never looked back. Busch was able to pick up the win after a controversial night at Phoenix.
Matt has not hit yet, so he's got a bunch of them trapped, one down.
I could have got to pit road that time, but I didn't know.
I mean, we can't make our pit stop under yellow. We got to do it under green. They need to stop us. We need to pit. Ask them what they want us to do.
Matt Kenseth is going to be held 1 lap.
They told me that if we got in this situation, they would red flag it so that we could have an opportunity to pit.
I don't need to explain this. Let me know what you may do. I'll pit here then. All right, buddy. Single file down pit road. They're going to do a lug nut check.
Is this the break? No,
How does this work now? This race reminds me of when I tried to fly a remote control helicopter for the first time. I didn't know what the was going on. We hit pit road under green, so that's good. At lap 50, they're going to throw the yellow. That's going to be their break. At that time, we're going to take our left side tires.
And Paulie Haraka apparently not watching what's going on in front of him, just drilled him. Got into Alex Kennedy, both set to make their Sprint Cup debut today, and here's a replay of what happened.
That's just guys not paying attention. That's all
right.
that is.
19, the white machine of Alex Kennedy.
I have no idea how you can get any more dumb than that. Not even off of pit road to start the race, to start the pace laps, and you're not even paying attention, and you slam in the back of your competitor. That's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen before a race.
Remember, this race must end under the green flag.
I don't know if nobody heard him or nobody even realized that he said that, but lo and behold, coming off of turn number 2, Ricky Stenhouse barely touches the wall, and NASCAR is so trigger happy they throw the caution flag when Ryan Blaney is less than 100 feet from the finish line to take the checkered flag. I would say over 90% of the people watching this race live or on TV thought Ryan Blaney won the race. Nobody really saw the caution come out. The whole broadcast made it seem like Ryan Blaney won. Well, Ryan Blaney takes down his window net, assuming, he won the race. And in the rule book, you must have your window net fastened, or you will be black flagged and brought down pit road, losing all your positions. Well, Ryan Blaney didn't want to do that, so NASCAR just logged like 15 laps under caution, praying that he would fasten his window net and can get it back up. From photo evidence, Ryan Blaney technically did not ever have his window net fastened, but NASCAR threw the green flag, they took back off, and thank goodness Ryan Blaney won. It was one of the most inexcusable races in NASCAR history at one of, if not the worst mile and a half.
Now again, I mentioned the rules changes are going to be no more, I guess, under a spotlight than right now, because early on a caution comes out, you can not change tires and add fuel at the same time. So now the crew chiefs are going to say, okay, do we put tires on right now or do we change fuel?
I don't think they do either right now. I think these guys mostly will stay out, Phil. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you're at the very back of the pack, then you have nothing to lose. And I think it's so early, these guys are limited to the number of sets of tires that they can use. I think they will just come in and dump a little fuel in if you're at the back of the pack.
And let's remind the folks at home why this rule is in effect now. They're trying to save the team's money. They're putting less guys over the wall. They're giving the crews a chance to breathe a little bit when it comes time to pit, and it's all done in an effort to save the team's money, which you have to applaud NASCAR. That's what this is all about, just trying to survive and keep racing trucks. Kyle Busch to pit road.
A lot of times in current NASCAR, we say there are pointless rules that are just being made up. But even back in 2009, NASCAR made this stupid rule about pit stops for the NASCAR Truck Series. To make it make sense, basically you couldn't fuel and change tires on the same pit stop to create, I guess, a parity among pit crew members and for safety. And the rule didn't last for that much longer, but it was still a wild thing that NASCAR tried to implement, and it just didn't work out. Thankfully, because if I had to keep up with this each week, I would have been so confused.
He's sideways, but he lurches out front. The white flag one more time around. Jones gets tagged by the 54.
Whoa!
Hold on. Ty Gibbs out front. Jones around. Caution comes out.
It's going to be hard to swallow for the driver of the 19. Let's take a look, guys. Yeah, they get down into the braking zone, and he just right into the back of the 19. No chance for Brandon to make the corner. I'm just not impressed. It doesn't take much of a race car driver to run another guy over from behind. It's one thing to hit him in the door or the quarter panel if it's contested, but this right here is squared up, bumper to bumper. Unimpressed. Hit him so hard it buckled the hood.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs punted the 19 of Brandon Jones, and now he's going to celebrate in front of the crowd here. And this crowd is very educated, and we'll see what they think about what Ty Gibbs just did when he gets.
In 2022, the NASCAR Xfinity Series headed into Martinsville for the penultimate round of 8. This would send drivers home and 4 drivers with a shot at the championship the next week. Brandon Jones was on the cusp of making the Final 4, and all he had to do was win. And with a teammate behind him, nothing could go wrong, right? Well, Ty Gibbs would intentionally overdrive turn number 1, sending Brandon Jones up the track and into the wall. Ty Gibbs was already locked into the Final 4, so he didn't necessarily need this win. And Brandon Jones needed to win to help him lock in his spot in the Final 4. Unfortunately for Jones, he wouldn't get this opportunity as his teammate would take it away from him.
Just a little bit too much.
Look at the smoke rolling out of the 51 of Kyle Busch. Power steering again. Now they had problems with power steering in practice, and it looks as though they're going to have the same problem now. Unbelievable turn of events for Kyle Busch.
Got a caution. It smells like anyway.
Caution's out.
We're gonna have to come. We're gonna have to pop the hood. You're gonna have to look at everything.
They're black flagging Kyle Busch.
Huh. I guess the caution isn't out. I thought I saw the lights flicker.
We heard Kyle say we're going to have to come. You're going to have to open the hood and look at everything.
Kyle is getting the cautions out.
There's the caution. Kyle was looking forward. And this could be obviously for fuel or fluid on the racetrack. They might be checking to see if there's anything on the track.
But a huge break for Kyle because he is going to have to come down pit road. They're going to have to look at that truck. You see Richie Waters right there as crew chief. They had a power steering problem yesterday. Ray was talking about. Obviously, Kyle feels as though it's got the same situation right now.
NASCAR told him 2 laps ago, you need to get that truck on the apron.
When your brain tells you we've had power steering trouble before, it's got to be power steering again. But in this case, he's backing down pit road, which is not the best decision, I don't think.
Especially with all the lap down trucks coming down.
Ooh! Wow, very close for Justin Marks.
That was a good move by Justin. He had to get in his box.
Kyle Busch continuing to try to get to the opening, which he needs to go a couple more spots back to get to that opening. Now he'll go forward and right through the opening up into the garage area.
I was going to be surprised if they could have kept having the same problem over and over
again.
And they've decided it's a transmission leak or issue that they have.
Something you don't see nowadays often in NASCAR are engines that blow up, especially when you're the race leader. In 2009, in the Truck Series race at Dover, Kyle Busch, who's the king of the Truck Series, was driving his heart out as always. And as the race went on, Kyle Busch's engine started to smoke and smoke more. NASCAR ended up black flagging Busch, and it was just in time for Kyle Busch's engine to go up in smoke. Busch should be black flagged for putting oil all over the racetrack and basically bringing out the caution because he was not pitting. This whole situation was even more controversial when he decided to back up across pit road when the lap trucks were pitting. This is something that probably would get a driver fined or even suspended if NASCAR really thought it was bad nowadays. But for Busch, this is ultimately how his day would end in the Truck Series race at Dover.
Well, I just talked to Jason Ratcliffe. He was fired up from, as you guys can imagine. I just talked to him and he said there was part of a decal stuck on their bumper. NASCAR went to him and said, you guys need to cut it off. So they cut it off. Now NASCAR told them that is an unapproved adjustment. You must drop to the back. So Jason is upset. He told them we're in a chase for a championship right now, but that's the deal. They're dropping to the back.
He's got just a little bit of straightaway speed on these guys.
Oh, look at that 22.
In the wall.
Logano, yeah, he made contact.
Oh, and he got Larson. Caution flag.
Boy, we saw where the 22 of Logano got a late run.
Do you see if the 42 maybe comes up in front of him?
Yeah, I think the 42 got a little bit tight there behind the 11. And that he came up the track. That just ran the 22 wide.
I think Logano bounced off the wall, and when he did, it shot him over to the left a little bit and got him into Larson. Accidentally.
This is extremely uncalled for, and this is what Joey Logano does. He gets impatient or he gets frustrated with other competitors and he wrecks them. He's done it time and time again. And Logano crashed Kyle Larson 2018 All-Star race with only 2 laps to go. He felt Larson pushed him too high up on the racetrack and put him in the wall. Logano would immediately right hook Kyle Larson, but Kyle Larson was luckily able to catch his car and spin into the grass without going into the outside retaining wall, making heavy contact.
And Kenseth cleared by Logano, maybe no! Kenseth takes him out! Logano into the wall! Caution comes out and the crowd roars!
Talked about it after what we saw a couple weeks ago. I was the first to say I never expected that to happen out of the 20 car.
Helmets coming off of the crew members of the 20. Joey Logano stuck in the grass. If the 20 of Matt Kenseth can continue, NASCAR has said he will be parked. Matt Kenseth already not having the day that he wanted to have. And the opportunity presented itself at a short track.
Still down there, still down there, still down there, still down there.
Joey, are you surprised?
Well, yeah, I thought, you know, I think what happened in Kansas is a completely different deal. You know, we were racing for the win, and, you know, he blocks you a few times, and then, you know, we raced hard, and he blocked me last time, and we spun out. That's what happened there. Here is just a complete coward move, especially for a championship race car driver and race team. Just complete coward. I don't have anything else to say. It's a chicken, you know what, move to completely take out the leader when your race is over, and you know, we'll move on. We're going to work hard, and we're going to get our car back out there, hopefully, and we just got to win.
As much as we love to watch Joey Logano get pounded in the wall by Matt Kenseth in 2015, we all know that in real racing, that is extremely dangerous and it should be penalized. Everybody was cheering up and down for it, but it was an unexcusable moment. Matt Kenseth definitely didn't need to do this, and he paid the price for it. Kenseth would be suspended for 2 races and would only race 1 more time in 2015. But honestly, as a NASCAR fan, it was kind of worth it. Unless you were a Logano fan, you loved to see this. It was drama and it was amazing. But ultimately, this costed Joey Logano a championship. And this could have been his first ever championship he ever got in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's just a what it could have been moment. So Joey Logano could be a 4-time champion if this didn't happen.
Now into 5 and turn 6.
All of that contact between the 2 leaders is allowed. Well, the 24 is spinning. The 24's there's multiple cars into the wall here. There must be oil or some kind of fluid down on the racetrack right there in turn. We got more cars coming in.
William Byron is reporting that the curb came up. He hit the curb in the 24.
Yeah, the curbing is coming up, and that's what everyone hit when they were coming through there in turn 6. The curbing comes up, catches a bunch of the cars, the front ends of the cars, and numerous cars are destroyed. Take a look at what happened to Daniel Suarez's car.
Looks like he gets turned by the 20. You can already see some cars having trouble with that curb and debris going everywhere. Truex gets spun around right here. He's riding on top of the roof cam. Lifted out of the gas, I assume, because he's seeing the debris and uncertain.
The first race on the Indianapolis road course for NASCAR was definitely something. It had everything from a controversial finish to wrecking to even the track falling apart. Yes, you heard that right. The track fell apart. This pristine facility had a curb on the backstretch that was not made for NASCAR racing. And during the weekend with the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, the curb was starting to get rough. It got so rough at the end of the NASCAR Cup Series race when William Byron drove over it, it disintegrated the underside of his car, putting oil all over the racetrack and making a catastrophic wreck on the back straightaway.
Winston Cup director.
And the man in the blue sport coat right on the screen with the dark glasses is David Hoots. He is the race director. He's the referee, basically. His call, ball or strike.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Well, I'm sure he's checked. He may have been wondering how that right front damage looks.
The car. Sterling Marlin is jumping out of his car. He's going around to look at the right front fender. But, oh, he can't do that.
You can't work on your car under the red flag. That's the NASCAR rule.
Pull it off a little bit.
You're not allowed to work on your car under the red flag. Matt?
The 2002 Daytona 500 will forever be famous for Sterling Marlin getting out of his race car in the middle of the red flag. In a red flag period in NASCAR, all cars must be stopped on the track and you are not allowed to touch a race car. If you're on pit road, in the garage area, or wherever you are, you're not allowed to touch or do anything to your race car, especially when you're up front and the race leader. And I don't think I ever would have thought a race car driver would have got out of his car while leading the race to check his fender. But Sterling Marlin did it, and unfortunately it cost him the Daytona 500. He had one of the most dominant cars that evening, but he was unable to win because he was sent to the tail end of the longest line after pulling on his fender under the red flag.
Back Crampton has to race Wilton to get by. Oh, Corey gives around he goes.
Round he goes, spinning around, and caution will come out again. And that'll be the 11th caution flag. Watch the 6, the 20.
Little bit of contact there. A little bit of contact, and around Corey goes.
Well, Jerry, Kevin Harvick's on his way to the garage. He's done for the day, not because he's tired of racing, but because NASCAR said you're not going to race anymore. And here's the reason. Not because he spun Coy Gibbs, but because he said on the radio before it happened, I'm going to go get him. So it was definitely intentional. NASCAR heard it on the radio, and they've said, Kevin, you're done for the day.
Jimmie Johnson is one of the greatest, if not the greatest NASCAR driver to ever exist. But even he had some illegal moments that were caught on camera. During one of the races, Chad Knaus told Jimmie Johnson if he won the race, he would have to back the car into the wall so it would pass post-race inspection. That was what was insinuated. If you win the race and you are able to damage parts of your car, it will still pass race inspection and the illegal parts could be destroyed or hindered. And that was Chad Knaus's and Jimmie Johnson's goal that day, and it was caught all on camera.
If we win this race, you have to correct the back of the car. Got it? Really? Yes. Got it? That's a little hard, but have to destroy it. But you gotta do a donut, you gotta hit the back end, or somebody's gotta hit you in the ass end or something. Okay? Alright. So, can't take any chances.
Going to Phoenix! That was a determined, savvy drive. And look at that, right at the end, Christopher Bell drives his way in as well. Right at the very end, look at Adam Stevens. I think the 20 past the 23 coming to the line for the 1 point that he needed. This is it. Watch this, the 23 and the 20. He went for it, almost lost control, hits the wall, drives off the wall, sort of Ross Chastain-esque. Gonna be a lot of conversation in the NASCAR tower about the entire finish of this race between all the cars racing for points, but what a drive by Blaney.
This was by far the most controversial race in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season, and possibly one of the most controversial races ever. Towards the end of the race, Christopher Bell needed to gain one more spot on William Byron. That's it, one more spot. And in front of him was Bubba Wallace slowing down with an alleged cut tire. When Christopher Bell noticed this, he drove it extremely hard into turn 3 and went into the wall. He then would hit the wall and ride the wall just like Ross Chastain did, which is illegal now in NASCAR. Bell was able to gain that position of Wallace and punch his ticket into the championship race. Well, he thought. NASCAR would then deem the rule was illegal and knock Christopher Bell out of the Final Four. But that wasn't the only controversial moment of the night. Just like we said, he needed to pass Bubba Wallace. And Bubba Wallace was told on the radio Christopher Bell's position, and then he said, "I have a tire going down." That seems fishy. And if that doesn't seem fishy enough, even the Chevys were trying to hold up to not pass William Byron to help him make the Final Four. Ultimately, NASCAR would hand down a penalty to Christopher Bell and say it was an illegal move. Byron would get in the championship 4, Bell would be out.
10 to go at the line here, 10 to go at the line. 5 back 11, then 10 to the 24. 24 and 20 are separated by a point right now. Sorry, 3 to go at the line, 3. I think I got a tire going down. 10-4, just nurse it home, nurse it home. Hold it up top, coming to the white.
So, information from the spotter to Bubba Wallace. Bubba claims he has a tire going down. That explains his speed down the backstretch. NASCAR's going to through these same radios that we have. Then we saw the pass by Christopher Bell. The slide job on the 23 got him into the wall. Then there will be question mark on the second half of that corner where he was absolutely against the wall, and how NASCAR sees if that's within or out of bounds.
So here's the radio from the 3 of Austin Dillon.
You know the deal? Just trying to find him to tell him. Justin, you tell crew chief also clear off. Out they go! 10-4, does the 1 crew chief know the deal? Yeah, he should.
Yes, so there you go. You hear communication about the 3 and the 1 car. And so now let's go listen to the 1 car.
Nice and smart with the 24 here down there, door. 24 is 1 to the good, 1 point to the good. Down there, even. 6 is lined up with the 3.
If you're a Hendrick Motorsports fan, you already know this story. Ray Everham brought Jeff Gordon one of the most illegal cars in NASCAR history that wasn't illegal just yet. Apparently, Ray Everham worked around the rulebook so well, it passed inspection, but that car became illegal after the race that Jeff Gordon won.
There's a car on the bottom, and he just ran Chastain up the racetrack, and then trouble ensued behind him.
Christopher Bell hits the wall as well. We see that in the top corner of the screen, a 20 car.
Yeah, Hamlin, you might want to know, is that retaliation? That's just Hamlin saying, look, I'm not giving you any room. You haven't given me any room. This is a race for the win.
I would call this an unexcusable moment in NASCAR, but honestly, it was kind of valid. Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain had a big rivalry in the 2022 season, and at Pocono, it came to a crashing halt when Hamlin would intentionally wall Ross Chastain for the lead. Chastain's car would be wrecked, and Hamlin would go on to take the victory that afternoon.
Unique thing about this is that is the gas man. He's allowed to normally be over 3 pit boxes away if he's gassing the car, but look at him. He has no gas can in his hand. They do that for safety. They don't want him holding a 100-pound gas can trying to jump over instantly. So the fact that he was on the ground more than 1 box away was a penalty in this situation. He really didn't even have...
This rule still blows my mind. I understand why it's there, why it's enforced, but sometimes I just feel that NASCAR likes to hand out penalties just because. This gas can man trying to pit Kyle Busch's car was actually not going to pit Kyle Busch's car. He was just sitting on the pit wall watching his car come in to take a 4-tire pit stop. But as he was sitting on the wall, NASCAR deemed that as over the wall too soon, because when Kyle Busch was more than 3 pit stalls away, his feet were still touching the racetrack. This would result in a penalty for Busch and ultimately cost him the victory at Chicago in 2017.
See the NASCAR haulers, the officials' haulers are still here at Pocono, and those haulers contain the 11 car, the race-winning car, or the former race-winning car of Denny Hamlin, and this former second-place car of Kyle Busch. Both have been disqualified for what NASCAR described as a material in the front fascia that is not supposed to be there.
Steve, what looked to be a strong day for Joe Gibbs Racing turned into a historic day for NASCAR with the less than 2 hours after the race, when NASCAR officials who had stated before the season that they were going to stiffen penalties related to the next-gen car found issues with the cars of the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 18 of Kyle Busch. That led to NASCAR for the first time in 62 years disqualifying a winner, and that led to Chase Elliott being declared the winner yesterday.
Johnson gets going, Montoya does not. They come to green, the field stacks up behind Montoya, then separates, and they're off to turn one.
Yeah, Juan Montoya just did not even remotely get going.
Restart violation.
Jimmy Johnson jumped the restart. Whether or not Juan Montoya spun the tires on the outside on this restart.
That was the beginning of the restart box right there. You see those two lines on the inside, that's the restart box.
Yeah, he was well inside the box. No question about it.
I'm with DW on this one, no question about it. Jimmy Johnson would intentionally or unintentionally jump the restart at Dover in 2013. Jimmy Johnson's the king at Dover, and it's very frustrating to see Jimmy Johnson mess up this bad because he could have won another race at Dover in 2013. Ultimately, Johnson was able to get his redemption in the fall, but still, this had to have been heartbreaking for the 48 team. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you've liked this video, I'm pretty sure these videos will catch your eye also.